Okay, so are you ready to unlock your inner tycoon? Because, like, today we are tackling a true classic,
Oh, yeah.
Think and Grow Rich.
Love it.
This book, like, practically screams roadmap to riches.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, some parts were so on point, I found myself wondering if it should be required reading for, like, everyone.
Ambitious goal.
I know, right?
Maybe we should start with unpacking what makes this book tick, and then you can decide if it deserves a spot on the curriculum.
Okay, fair enough.
Sounds good.
So for those who haven't cracked open a copy since, well, ever.
Right.
Think and Grow Rich is all about distilling the secrets of success.
Okay.
Napoleon Hill, the author, was inspired by steel magnate Andrew Carnegie to interview hundreds of successful people.
Wow.
We're talking big names.
Okay.
Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah.
Basically, Hill got a crash course in what made these titans tick.
It's fascinating to consider the historical context, too.
Oh, yeah.
This book emerged during the Great Depression, a time of widespread economic hardship.
Right.
Hill's message that anyone, regardless of their circumstances, could achieve success through mindset and action
Yeah.
really resonated deeply with people desperate for hope.
Right, and that brings us to one of Hill's most famous and maybe controversial principles,
Okay.
burning desire.
Yeah.
He wasn't just talking about wishing on a star, but a deep-seated yearning that fuels action. Like you really want it.
He argued that true desire, when focused with laser-like precision, could empower individuals to overcome even the most daunting obstacles.
Yeah.
It's the engine that drives us forward, the internal compass that keeps us on course.
It's that motivation.
Yeah.
And he illustrates this with a story about Edwin Barnes, who was determined to work with Thomas Edison,
Okay.
not just for him.
Interesting.
Barnes was so set on this goal that he hopped a freight train. The freight train
Wow, just to
don't-
get to Edison.
to get to Edison.
Talk about going the extra mile.
It's a compelling anecdote, and it raises an interesting question about how the concept of hustle has evolved over time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Would today's entrepreneurs go to such lengths, or has the definition of going above and beyond shifted in the age of digital networking?
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Now, where things get really interesting and maybe a little woo-woo for some
Okay.
is Hill's idea that thoughts can influence our reality.
Okay.
He talks about money consciousness.
Right.
Essentially that focusing your mind on wealth can attract it.
It's a concept that still pops up in self-help circles today, but it can feel a little vague.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Let's unpack that a bit.
Okay.
While Hill might not have used today's language, what he's getting at is the importance of self-belief and a clear vision.
Okay.
Money consciousness isn't about magically manifesting wealth.
Right.
It's about cultivating an unshakable belief in your ability to achieve financial success.
So it's less about wishing for riches and more about aligning your mindset with your goals.
Precisely.
Gotcha.
It's about seeing yourself as worthy of wealth and capable of attracting it, which in turn can fuel the actions needed to make it a reality.
That makes a lot more sense.
Ah.
Now, to achieve this money consciousness,
Right.
Hill outlines his famous 6 steps to riches.
Okay.
And before you roll your eyes at another list, these steps, while perhaps worded a bit quaintly for us today, really boil down to a roadmap for turning dreams into reality.
Okay.
He's talking about getting specific about what you want, visualizing it clearly, and then taking consistent action.
I like it.
Sounds familiar?
Exactly.
Yes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of today's productivity frameworks, we see the same emphasis on breaking down large goals into manageable steps, establishing timelines and tracking progress.
Totally.
It's about transforming a vague desire,
Right.
I want to be rich,
You and me both.
into a concrete plan with actionable steps.
Hill understood that achieving any worthwhile goal requires action, not just daydreaming.
Right.
And that's where I think this next story really comes alive. It's about Charles Schwab, the steel magnate, and what Hill calls his billion-dollar dinner speech.
Ah, yes. Schwab's legendary dinner with J.P. Morgan.
It's a good one.
This story perfectly embodies how Hill's principles can play out in the real world.
Right.
Schwab, a gifted communicator, convinced Morgan, the most influential financier of his era, to establish U.S. Steel,
Wow.
simply by sharing his compelling vision for the industry's future.
Imagine having that kind of persuasive power.
I know.
It makes you think about those elevator pitch competitions.
Right.
Did Schwab invent that?
Maybe.
But seriously, it shows that having a brilliant idea isn't enough.
Nope.
You need to know how to convey it to get others as fired up about it as you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Schwab had the data, the passion and that intangible ability to connect with Morgan on a personal level.
For sure.
These elements are just as important today in our fast-paced world of startups and constant innovation.
Now, before you Think and Grow Rich is all sunshine and rainbows,
Okay.
Hill throws a bucket of cold water on any illusions of easy success.
Right.
He lays out 30.
30.
Yes, 30 causes of failure.
It's a lot.
And guess what?
Huh.
Many of them are still tripping people up today.
Precisely.
Still relevant.
He delves into things like procrastination, lack of a defined purpose, and fear of criticism.
Yeah.
These aren't just challenges from a century ago.
Right.
They're hurdles we all face in some form.
It's like he's holding up a mirror and saying,
To all of us.
which one of these is your Achilles heel?
It's a powerful exercise in self-awareness.
It is.
And I'd encourage you to revisit that full list in the book and see which ones resonate with your own experiences.
Yeah.
Understanding our personal stumbling blocks is often the first step toward overcoming them.
You know, for a book so focused on material success,
Right?
I was surprised by how much Hill emphasizes something he calls the sixth sense.
Oh, yeah.
It's this almost spiritual ability to tap into intuition and a higher power.
It's fascinating how Hill's work transcends mere financial advice and delves into something deeper.
Right?
He's acknowledging that there's more to success than logic and data.
Totally.
There's a certain magic in trusting your gut,
Yeah.
in tuning into that inner voice that often guides us toward the right path.
It's interesting, right? He's
Yeah.
basically saying, don't just think your way to success, feel your way there, too.
I like that.
It reminds me of how concepts like mindfulness and emotional intelligence are becoming more mainstream, even in the business world.
There's definitely a connection.
It's like he's saying, hey, spreadsheets and algorithms are great, but don't discount the power of gut feelings and
Right.
those flashes of insight that come from who knows where.
Precisely. He's encouraging us to embrace the full spectrum of our human potential,
Yeah.
logic and intuition combined, as we navigate the path towards our goals.
So after spending some quality time with Think and Grow Rich,
Right.
the million-dollar question is,
Oh, boy.
does it still hold up in 2024?
That's the question, isn't it?
Is it a timeless guide to success, or is it hopelessly dated? What do you think?
That's the beauty of engaging with a book like this.
Right.
The answer is going to be different for everyone.
True.
Hill's writing is undoubtedly a product of his time,
For sure.
but those core principles,
Okay.
the power of desire, the importance of planning persistence, and a positive mindset,
Mm.
they've got this enduring quality that speaks to something fundamental about human ambition.
It's true. Some of his language might make you chuckle. Very old school success.
Right.
But the ideas underneath are still pretty potent.
I agree. I think the key is to approach Hill's work with a discerning eye.
No.
Take the timeless wisdom, those nuggets of insight that resonate with your own experiences, and leave behind what no longer serves you.
Yeah.
It's like panning for gold.
Ooh, I like that.
You've got to sift through some dirt to find the real treasures.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what are some key takeaways for you, the listener?
Yeah.
We've explored the core principles, raised an eyebrow at some of Hill's more, shall we say, ambitious claims,
Yeah.
and even considered how his ideas might need a 21st century update.
It's true.
What's bubbling up for you?
Yes, what resonates? What makes you want to grab a notebook and start jotting down goals?
Ooh.
Hill emphasizes self-belief and a burning desire.
Yeah.
Do you have a goal you feel that intensely about?
And here's one last thought sparked by the book, but venturing beyond our discussion.
Okay.
In today's world of side hustles and the gig economy,
Right.
a world Hill couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah.
How might those principles of burning desire and unwavering persistence play out?
It's a good question.
Do they still hold the same weight, or do they need a remix for a new generation? Something to ponder.
It's an intriguing question. Perhaps it's up to each of us to find our own answers,
Ooh.
to experiment to discover how these timeless principles can be applied in our modern lives. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and who knows,
What?
maybe you'll even get a little rich along the way.